This is the Future Proud of For Real TV. Of course, I'm your host, Raheem the Dream, and I'm in the park as usual, getting my walk on. Give a shout out to everybody out there in the YouTube world. Shout out to the For Real team, the real For Real team. When I say the real For Real team, they know who they are. They just, uh, uh, I, I hate to say it, you got them that just want to use the word to say that they on the team, but don't do anything. But I'm not going to get into that because I'm not going to expose anything, you know. So I'm going to give a shout out to the For Real team. And like I said, the ones who put the work in, they know who they are. Yeah, as usual, I'm in the park. I had been jogging 2 miles and walking 2 miles. Then I ignored my body and I was jogging and I get that pain, but I run through the pain, but then it gets me later on that day. So, and I know what that is, the building up of the muscles. And sometimes ignoring that pain can cause you pain the rest of the day. And that's what it had been doing. So today I'm just going to get to walking on. Tomorrow I jog. I'm going to start doing it like that. I know I'm not spring chicken, but I try to get it in like I am. Um, you see what this title says. Who are we as a people? Talking to an African brother yesterday, and he's from Ghana, and I was asking him about how long he's been in America and in Cleveland. He said he came here from New York, and I was asking him, what differences did he see from New York to Cleveland, and he said the people. I said, what you mean by that? He said that this is what he said. I don't agree, but he said that he thinks that. No, let me take that back. I don't know. He might be right because I wasn't there. I ain't been in New York so long. He said he sees a little bit more unity in New York. He said he's seen a little bit more unity in New York in black people than he's seen here. But then I threw a question at him as how can you how can you say that when I told him this is not a knock on you or African people, but from the motherland, us diasporas here in America. So how are you? Um, how can you say that? Hey, brother, how you feel? Yes, sir. Unbelievable. And and I see a lot of times when y'all come here, I see y'all kind of unite with the Arabs, and he was Muslim. We talked about that a little bit because he asked me my name, where did I get my name from, and we went through all that. And so we had a conversation on this line for a minute. I was asking him about the Arab slave trade. What did he know about that? I even asked him, did he know anything about the transatlantic slave trade? Let me say this. You'll be surprised how little they know about the transatlantic slave trade and the Arab slave trade. I mean, he said he knew a little bit about it, and I asked that brother. I said, "Man, why would you only know a little bit about it?" I said to him, "I said, man, isn't that something that you should know? Your kids should know things of that nature." And he said that it really wasn't important to him because where he grew up at in Ghana, Senegal. I forget exactly. I think it was Ghana. Yeah, I think it was Ghana, Senegal. He said that um, that wasn't something that they even learned about in their school. He said they didn't learn about that kind of stuff in their school. And I was like, wow, okay. But I told him we didn't learn about that kind of stuff in our schools either. I said, they told us a little bit that we were slaves. That's about it. Like History Month, they let us know we were slaves, and they gave us Martin Luther King. I said, that's pretty much what Black history was all about in our schools here in America. So he said, he wasn't taught, they was not taught about it. And it kind of surprised me that they wouldn't know. And then I hit him with something that really caught him off guard. And he really couldn't give me an answer. He took it kind of personally. I could tell on his face. And I asked him this here. I asked him, I said, did your people sell my people, and is your family still benefiting from it? Did your people sell my people? Um, he took it kind of personal. I could see in his face he didn't answer personal though, but I could see, his facial expression change. And he said no. He said because I think he said mostly the slave trade was on the west part, and he come from I don't, I can't remember, but anyway, he said no because I was telling him. I said, well, how could I said let me ask you this here. I said because when they came with them big ships, they couldn't bring the big ship all the way to shore. They had to take little ships to come ashore. I said, so who guided them through? Who guided them through? All right, bro, how you feel? All right. Who guided them through so they can get to us, to get into the inland? And he said, of course, it had to be other Africans that guided them through. That had to be their guide, But like I said, he didn't know too much about the slave trade, so I didn't keep going on, you know. But that part that I said, did your people sell my people, and did your people benefit from it, and are they still benefiting today? He couldn't give me an answer on that, but he did say yes, it had to be some Africans to show them how to get inland. Hey, now, how to get inland, you know. So, so I left that at that. Okay. Then I asked him about what masjid he went to. All right, bro. I asked him about what masjid he went to, things of that nature. How many kids he had? I think he told me he had something like. I think he told me he had something like 12 kids. alive, and that he had 4 wives. He said he had 4 wives and 12 kids, 12 or 13, something like that. I think it was 4 wives and 12 kids. And I was asking him how did he maintain that. But he was younger than me. I think he was about 30, 37, something like that. I think he said he was about 37, 38. He said he had 4 wives and 12 kids. Um, Asking, what kind of appointment he had. He said he had his own business on the west side somewhere. Um, then I asked him, I said, when y'all come here, I pretty much know what you told about the African American. And he did agree that that's what they tell them when they swim in or get their citizenship or whatever. Stay away from us, that we're rapists, we're robbers. And he said, yes, they do tell them that. He said, they do tell them that you can open up a business, though, in their hoods and get rich. Just don't live there because they will rob and kill you. They will break in your house, rape your daughters. He said, yeah, they do tell them that. Classes they go to stay away from us. So I asked them if they can tell you to stay away from us. Are we one people? He said, in a way, we are one people, but in another way, we're not. I said, well, can you give me more insight on that? He said, because of culture. He said, because of culture. And I said, but how can you let culture separate us as a people? He said, because that's just what it is. He said, even in Africa, culture have them separate. They have different culture. They have different language. He said the majority of them that that way where he was at speak French. That they speak French, not an African language. They speak French. Like wow, okay, the French. I asked him about that brother Torre. He said he know a little bit about him, but he don't know much about him. And I asked him why. I said because what I see that young brother doing is he's kicking the French out, he's kicking the Americans out, and he's making his country a black country what it should be because it's theirs. So he's taking land back and he's chasing everybody out who don't belong there. But he say he don't know too much about that young brother. He say do know something, we don't know a whole lot. So I told him I probably know more than you do. He's saying you probably do. He said because one thing I know about the African American, the ones that have been, the ones that call themselves conscious, do a lot of reading, a lot of studying, and some of us are more advanced than they are when it comes down to the real culture of where we come from. And he said the reason that being is because he was raised there and we was raised here. And I agreed with him. I agreed with him on that because the African American, the ones that's conscious, want to know where we come from, want to know who we really are. That's the difference. And he said, yeah, that is the difference. But he say his kids here, I think they go to school out in Parma somewhere like that there on the west side somewhere. Um, he say when his kids, come home and everything, they sit down all together, because they're Muslim, so they gonna pray together and everything, and they gonna question what you learned in school, things of that nature. Let me get a shout out to everybody out there. Hey, this is my sister right here. Hey, what's up, Elder? You already know my sister. She say good morning, okay. South America, okay. I'm gonna say grand rising to you, cause I don't say good morning. I say grand rising, but it's okay, cause it's grand rising for me. So, but I'm glad you're here. All right, bro. I'm glad you're here. Thumb up the video, thumb up the video, thumb up the video. Um, yeah. So, I had a talk with that brother yesterday from Ghana. Pretty sure it was Ghana, and he come here from New York, and had a good talk. I just wanted to know, where he was at on certain things. Like I said, he didn't know much about the transatlantic slave trade. He didn't know too much about the Arab slave trade. All right, bro. He didn't know too much about the Arab slave trade. And I told him that the Arab slave trade is why a lot of us, about, I say from 35% of the, we won't just say Africa, the Africans that came on them slave ships, they said 35% of them was Muslims, and that's because of the Arab slave trade. That's why, because of the Arab slave trade, because of the Arab slave trade. You know, so that was just a little conversation I had with the brother yesterday, and he invited me to come to Juma today. I told him I might show up, because he knew I was Muslim. We had a little talk about Islam, and I told him I used to be Muslim, and then I told him why I'm not Muslim anymore. I don't go up under any brand of religion. I didn't go up under any brand of religion. I don't go up in any brand of religion. Um, Another thing is I told him how I see, not I think. I told him how I see how religion divides us as a people. You have Baptist Christians that won't even speak to the Protestant or what's that other group, whatever it is, don't want to even speak to them. I seen them right across the street from each other. They wouldn't even wave at each other. That's division to keep us separated. How many different branches of Christianity do you have? How many different branches of Islam do you have? I think it's about 4 or 5 different branches of Islam, if I can remember right. Because I can remember being in the joint and the Hanafis, they wouldn't even pray with us. They wouldn't even make salat with us. Okay, let's see what I want to say. While chattel slavery has been officially abolished in all Arab countries, modern forms of slavery, such as human trafficking and forced labor, unfortunately, still exist in the Arab world today. Oh yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, that's a fact. I did a little, if I'm not mistaken, did I do? I don't know if I put it on here though. But yeah, I have. I'm familiar with that. That they want to just call it something different, but they still enslaving the black brothers and sisters over in them countries now. They give the little kids, they give the black, they give the African babies to their babies as a gift to be a slave for the kid, and they grow up together as a slave and a master. But one thing, we as a people, it's a lot of issues we refuse to address. But we got a lot going on right here before we can worry about over there. I do understand that because that's what people will say to me. But I am concerned with mine over here. Let's keep that real. Okay. Speak that truth. But the liars and wrongdoers hate us for speaking the truth. Wow. Say that, my sister. That's a fact. That's a fact. You'll be surprised how much hate I get right here. Not only in my own country, in my own city. You understand what I'm saying? Um, a lot of times they won't even come out and support the work I do with the kids because of my views. But all my views, all my views, you can actually do the research. You can actually do the research. All right, my brother, you can actually do the research and find the facts that I do. See, people in this country, especially black people, they don't want the truth. They want belief. They rather have something to believe in than the truth. Higher. And they believe they can't even prove their belief. They believe. And when you give them facts, just like you said, my sister, they will hate you. See, because you can't prove a belief. And if you look at the word belief, what do it say? Look at the word belief. The word belief actually say be lying. Look at the word. Look at the word belief. It says be lying because you can't prove anything in your belief. That's why I tell a person, I can't debate your belief. I can't. I'm not going to even try to debate you on your belief because you have no proof of it. So how can I? How can I? How can we debate on belief? Belief is something that's in your head. That's something that's in your head, but you have no facts. So I tell them I can't debate you on that, and I'm not going to try to. I used to, but they don't want to see the facts. So I'm left. So I done moved on from that. I moved on from that. Alrighty. That's why my main focus stays on the babies, saving the babies. We have to change the mindset of the babies, or we in big freaking trouble if we don't change the mindset for the babies. And yesterday, I got in there with the babies, man, and man, I looked up, man, I was in there 3, 4 hours, and I had another appointment to be to at 2. And I looked up and asked them what time it was. 1:30. So there ain't no clocks in there, you know. And I didn't have a watch on. The reason why I didn't have a watch on, because I got to go through all the metal detectors. You got to put stuff on and off. So I just leave that stuff at home. Leave my belt at home, all that, because it slows me down. You just believe it, and you can't change vote into a seat. That's a fact. Yes, that's a fact. Yes, ma'am, that's a fact. Yes, you're speaking facts. You're speaking facts. That's the difference. Facts. I try to tell them, I try to use this here. This is what I tell them. Will your belief stand up in the court of law? See, religion is the only thing you don't have to prove. But will it stand up in the court of law? No, because you can't prove any of it. That's the difference. That's the difference. Yep, that's the difference. That's the difference. Because you can't prove any of it. It's just a belief. Look at the word belief. Be lying. But so I've been done with that. That's the only thing I focus on is the babies. I had a great day with them yesterday. I didn't mean to be in there that long though, but we I was in there that long. One of the reasons being because I'm starting to get through to them. All right, bro, how you feel? Always a pleasure to see you, my brother. Uh, uh, um, I'm starting to really get through to them. I'm starting to really get through to them, and that's and what I mean by that, their conversation is changing. That's when you know you're getting through to the babies. When the questions they ask and what they come back with, that's when you know they come back with different things now. Their mental, their mental is waking up. Their mental is waking up. Their mental is waking up. See, when you talk to them, and the ones that I talked to yesterday, most of them been there at least 1 to 2 years. So them the same ones that I seen again. Okay, the believers want to complain to completely cancel out all truth to have supreme power. That's a fact. That's it. If you cancel out truth, then everything becomes everything you believe in all lies. That's power. That's right. That's right. What did Hitler say? Hitler said if you push a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. That's what Hitler said. Hitler said if you push the lie long enough, it becomes the truth. Yes, yes, you're right, my sister. Once again, Hitler said if you push the lie long enough, it becomes the truth. And that's where we are today. I agree. Okay, let me get back to the babies. I was in there so long yesterday with them because we was having good conversations, man. They was giving me feedback on what they think about now. Don't get me wrong, they still think a lot of that other stuff because you got to remember a lot of that other stuff is going on in there more than I'm in there. I'm only in there a couple of hours with them. Maybe I on this block, I on that block, I on that block, you know. But what impressed me yesterday, what impressed me yesterday was the feedback I got from them. When I sat back and just let them go, their conversation had changed. They let me know I'm doing something. Their conversation changed a little bit. They was coming with some positive things, and that's what impressed me. Because the questions they was asking me was positive questions. It wasn't stuff they usually would ask me, street stuff. They were asking me books to read, and could I bring them some books in that I want them to read. They was asking me about business. Like I just said, the conversation has changed towards me. Let me put it that way. In other words, but what that lets me know is that they have been listening to me, and they couple of them went in their houses, which they sales. But if you've been to the joint like me, that's your house. They went in their house and they came out with sheets of paper on things they've been writing down because I told them you need to put that pen to paper. The pen to paper will be power. The pen to paper will be power. Power for you. You need to empower yourself first. You need to empower yourself first. But once you empower yourself, then you can empower your family. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. My family is the hood, not just my personal family. So I'm trying to put my team in position so we can really make a difference. And it's hard to do. The reason why it's hard to do, sometimes everybody is not willing to put certain work in. Let me put it like that. See me, I put any kind of work in. When I was in the street, I put any kind of work in to destroy the hood. When I was in the street, I put any kind of work in to destroy the hood. I mean, I put work in with my hands and with them pipes in my hand. You understand? I put work in. But now you talk to people about putting work in to help the hood, and they give you any and all excuses. They give you any and all excuses. but they won't get that white man an excuse when they go on that job. See, you will know what's important to a people by what they do. You will know what's important to a people by what they do. You will know what's important to a people when you see what they do, not what they say out their mouth, the work they put in. And they ain't gonna put the work in. They say they're gonna do it. They'll sit behind a computer and do it. They'll do what they call putting work in is what I call armchair revolutionaries. They sit in their armchair and say black power, and they think they're doing something. Armchair revolutionaries is what the conscious world calls them kind of people. So, but I ain't gonna keep going on and on. I think I done put enough out there. But I did have a good talk with the brother from Ghana yesterday. He's the Ghananese from that country they call Ghananese. Okay, the sister says I have my witness, but now did you transform from man ways to truth? Have you? Okay, I have my witness, but how did you transform from man's ways to truth? If you giving that question to me, I was locked in on what you just said, which is man ways. And the man ways that I was taught, not from home, but in the streets, is you take what you want. And who you get that from? You got that from the colonizers. They just came and just took what they wanted. So uh, uh, in the streets, that's what we was taught. Take what you want. Just don't get caught. Take what you want. Just don't get caught. But as time went on, as I got older, and you start doing research, once you become conscious to things that you're doing, once you become conscious of things that you're doing, but that comes with age. Not only with age. Let me take that back. It don't just come with age. It's a blessing speaking to a man who's awakened. Yes, yes. I'm very conscious. Uh, uh, um, it really I want to say it come with age, but it does come with age. But if you don't get the right information, I know people my age that's still stuck, that still have a slave mentality. They don't know anything that I know. When I tell it to them, they don't believe it. They won't even do the research. And I could put it up. I could show them on my phone. They won't even look at it. You know why? They don't want truth. They said the truth will set you free, right? They don't want to be free. They don't want to be free. You have some of the happiest slaves today than ever. You have some of the happiest slaves today than ever. They happy slaves. They happy slaves. And will fight you for the slave master. They will kill you. All right, bro. They will kill you for the slave master. Let alone fight you. They will kill you for the slave master. And they don't even know they're doing it. And when you bring it to their attention, they can see it a little bit and they get mad. and they try to. I don't want to hear no more. They say I don't want to hear no more. I don't want to see no more because they don't know who they are. They don't want to know who they are. They want to remain the same. Everything evolves. Animals evolve. Insects evolve. Trees evolve. Everything evolves. People evolve, but we don't evolve anymore. The ones that have evolved, you will know them. You even know them when you see them. Just like people say, they see the way I walk and say, he thinks he's this, he thinks he's that. Just because I walk with my head high, my chest out, and I be who I am, then I think I'm this, I think I'm that. And I let them know, no, you know I'm this and you know I'm that. That's why you say that. I have no fear. There's nothing else you can do to me. I done did the prison. I done been shot up. I done did the drugs. I done did everything. I done did everything to myself that can be done. Yeah, you heard me what I said to myself. And the reason why I said I did it to myself because I made them choices. I made them choices. So I did it to myself. I don't point the finger at nobody. I look in the mirror and point the finger at myself, just like I tell my kids to do. I tell all my kids, you start in the mirror and ask yourself, who are you? And I tell them, if you can look in the mirror, if you can look in the mirror and tell yourself a lie, you're a piece of shit. That's what I tell them. That's what I tell them. I say, start in the mirror. That's where it all starts at. It all starts in the mirror. That's where it all starts at. Okay? It starts in the mirror. So this is the Future Power of For Real TV, and it starts in the mirror of yourself. Point the finger at yourself. That's when you will start making a change. The change is not outside of you. The change is on the inside of you. The change is on the inside of you. It's not on the outside of you. It's on the inside. But this is the Future Power of For Real TV, and I'm gonna sign on out of here. Knees hurting already, so I know I can't do no jogging. But and I ain't did nothing but 2 miles so far. I ain't even completed 2 miles yet. So I knew I couldn't do no running today. My knees and calves let me know that this morning. I still had to come out here and do something. And I still will get my 4 miles in regardless. I fight against pain. And I've been jogging. I've been getting hellified pains while I'm jogging. And I keep jogging anyway. But I pay for it later. But I have to run through the pain. Just like I'm going to walk through it today. Okay? I still have 2 more miles to go. Got almost 2 in. I have 2 in about 5 minutes, and I get this destination up here. That'll be my 2 miles, and I'm gonna turn around and walk the opposite way and get me 2 more miles. I will get my 4 miles today, regardless. So this is the Future Power of For Real TV, and I'm gonna sign on out of here. Peace and black power, power to the people, power to the people.